You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate.
Hello, listeners. We are back for another episode of the Industry Alchemist podcast. I am your host, Matt Brower. Sitting here, this episode's guest today is Marcos Allende. He and I met at a mutual friend's celebration of his wedding, bachelor party in Bocas del Toro recently. Had an immediate, deep connection, fascinated with his story, his educational background, and his entrepreneurial spirit is very inspiring to me, and I look forward to hearing more about it. Marcos, thank you for being on the Industry Alchemist podcast.
It's actually my pleasure, Matt. Thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast. I enjoy so much from the first day, the first conversations that we had, our vision about humanity, our vision about technology, our vision about people, and it is a pleasure to now be able to share one of these conversations with your audience. So thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. So just a quick background on my quick research of you is and our conversations in the past. You are studied in physics. You went to school for physics, and then you got into the quantum physics field, but you also studied in finance. Can you talk to me a little bit about kind of your upbringing, how you got interested in quantum physics specifically, how you then wanted to also take on the world of finance and have the well-rounded version of that, which I know is completely incredible, well-rounded skills to now provide you the ability to do what you're doing, which we'll get into.
Yeah, of course. Actually, my experience about doing things that look very different is that you acquire always some convergence knowledge that is unique, and that allows you to develop things that are usually or that can be new because it's an area of expertise that combines things that are so different that is very niche,
Right.
So in my case, so I'm from Asturias, that's in the north of Spain. And when I was a kid, I always was asking myself and people questions about the purpose of life and life and death and what's after death and the universe and what's the meaning of the universe and consciousness. So I was into all those concepts, and I remember
as a kid, this is
yes,
what you were curious about. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, when you develop this level of awareness about yourself and about reality, you ask yourself questions. Some people don't care about these things too much, and they are more into just live in the present and that. Mm-hmm. And I also like to live the present, but I always was curious about these questions, non-answer questions,
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in high school, I was taking physics classes. And I remember getting into Einstein's equations and quantum for the first time and asking the professor, well, in which engineer degree I'm going to keep learning these things? And he said, no, you are only going to study this at university if you study physics. So that was the day that I decided, okay, so I want to know more about this. So I will study physics.
Yeah.
And then I studied physics in Spain and also in the Netherlands. And then I did my master's in theoretical physics, specialized.
Physics, yeah.
Yes, but specialized in quantum. So a very strong quantum basis, and that gave me the knowledge of nature. That gave me the tools to understand nature to the extent that science understands nature today.
Yeah.
And also I got a lot of knowledge about cryptography, about computing, so tools that have been very useful in my life afterwards.
Yeah.
And then the complementing finance is that when I decided that I was not going to pursue a PhD, because I realized that in physics, PhDs are very focused on like improving the sensitivity of a sensor or an equation, so they are very focused.
Very focused on one specific
Exactly.
topic. Yeah.
And then you need to dedicate your entire life to working with those sensors because you are the biggest expert in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided that I got this opportunity to move to Washington, D.C. and work for the Inter-American Development Bank, leading research on these quantum and blockchain and crypto technologies.
Yeah.
And I started complementing my knowledge with, I did a training at the London School of Economics in finance. I learned a lot about blockchain and financial technologies to enter into that field.
Yeah.
And also I studied at MIT about quantum cryptography more in depth. So I was complementing the background with the financial, payments, cryptography, and quantum, like a combination of those things.
Wow. Which now leads you to have, maybe a year and 3 months ago, you founded and now are CEO and co-founder of Blerify, which is a combination of blockchain and verify. Talk to us about high level, and then we'll get into some details. What does this company do?
Great. So Blerify is developing the next generation of identity verification technology. So we're going to see over the next 2-3 years that because of the AI attacks to our keys like passwords and our biometrics and everything, we are going to see how there's going to be a transition to new identity verification mechanisms using new generation of cryptography, using blockchain, using quantum. So we are developing the baseline infrastructure in order for organizations to adopt this technology. And we are specifically providing an identity wallet, a mobile application that we hope that millions of people use over the next years in order to manage and protect their digital identity.
So this technology is a mix of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and identity verification. Or I guess the background coding of it is on using blockchain technology.
Yes. So I'll try to put it in simple terms. And if you want, Matt, we can get into just to go from big to small. And if you want, we can get into the technical roles. Yeah. But essentially, the thing is that we have been using passwords and biometrics as the primary authentication factors. Like you go today to the internet, and you are going to use passwords and users, tens of times, and you have to memorize them all. Yeah. And that's not only inconvenient, but that's insecure.
It is.
Because now there's a new generation of artificial intelligence that is going to be very good at guessing your passwords and impersonating you.
Oh, wow.
The other way is...
Hadn't thought of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And then on the other side, now you sometimes use your voice to authenticate to the bank, or you use your biometrics in order to an ID, like a face ID authentication. Yeah. But also artificial intelligence can go to Facebook or to Instagram. They can get 4 pictures of you, and from those 4 pictures, they can start impersonating you. The same happens with the phone. Your voice is now in the internet everywhere.
Everywhere.
So they can use that in order to impersonate you.
And you, like you said, your face, also the biometrics, your thumbprint, like this is all out there.
Exactly. Wow. So even also like numbers that we use for authentication, like the social security number in the US, there has been reports that millions of social security numbers have already been leaked, So essentially what we use today, like our ID numbers, the passwords and the biometrics are going to be deprecated. They are not going to be reliable anymore to authenticate ourselves. So what's going to be the next generation of identity verification mechanisms? It's going to be a mobile application. We call it an identity wallet. It's going to be an identity wallet. Okay. You're going to have all kinds of credentials there. So from the more like decentralized approaches, like WorldCoin is a company that is authenticating, like allowing people from their iris to get an identifier and a credential. And then you have also like governments that are issuing like digital IDs, like your driver license, your passport. Yeah. So all of that is going to become a digital credential, and you're going to have different digital credentials in that wallet.
Say that word again.
It's going to be a digital credential.
Okay.
You're going to have a set of digital credentials in your wallet. Okay,
wow.
Your digital identity wallet.
Digital identity wallet. Yep.
So whenever you go to a website, like a bank or an e-commerce platform, or you want to travel, like instead of asking you for a password or a biometric verification, they are going to say, hey, Matt, can you please scan this QR with your identity wallet?
Yeah.
So you will scan the QR and you will see in your identity wallet which credentials you are allowed to present to this authentication
for this particular purpose.
Exactly. And
this is the product that Blarify is producing.
Exactly.
And this is a massive undertaking. Now that you're explaining it to me this way, like, holy shit.
Exactly. And not only is about just the change, the absolute change in the user experience, because now it's like I just scan a QR with an ID wallet and I can authenticate to every place without memorizing passwords, without exposing my biometrics, and without being able to be hacked by AI.
Yeah.
Not only that, but behind the scenes, we are using state-of-the-art technologies like blockchain for the timestamping and the tamper-proof of the credentials. We are using quantum cryptography, so we can resist even attacks of like by quantum computers, not only by AI, but even by quantum computers. So we combine blockchain and quantum.
So it's quantum cryptographing?
Yes.
I've never even heard of this.
Yes, it's a new generation of cryptography.
Wow.
We can talk a little bit about if you want, but just to close the loop of the explanation, the overview of what is happening is a total, like a 360 transition in the way we manage our digital identity and we authenticate to places.
Yeah.
And what we have is all the infrastructure in order to allow the issuance of the digital credentials you are going to use, the management of the digital credentials that you are going to do with your identity wallet, and then even what we call the verification points, that is the technology for the websites and for the in-person locations to be able to request a credential to you and to verify it. Everything cryptographically protected, everything with a great user experience, and everything with the security that we need as human beings to protect who we are, our identity.
So the question that came up as you were describing this, and the purpose of this is to protect ourselves from AI being able to, not that AI is out to get us or anything, but just the natural occurrence of AI becoming so intelligent that it can know everything. Quantum cryptographing is the product that is created, or the technology that prevents that. Or can you go into that like a little bit more detail? Just, I'm curious, like how does one take that new thread that now exists and code basically software to prevent this? Because it just seems like this is such an ongoing. I have so many friends in the cybersecurity industry, and they're constantly doing nothing but coding because it's a mountain that never ends up. The summit never is reached. It continues to, go higher and higher, right?
Yes, and now even with the AI tools that developers have for coding, the new developments that we are going to see, the new companies it's gonna be exponentially faster. Actually, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and others that are at the top of the pike of this industry have said that probably in this decade we will see one-person unicorns, like companies that are a one-person company that is worth $1 billion, because you are going to have so many AI tools to do finance, to do legal.
Because you don't need a team anymore. AI is the team.
Yeah, like you have AI agents, you have your AI lawyer, you have your AI finance guy, you have your AI developers, and you're going to have an AI-based company with these AI agents. So they are predicting this. And actually, to give you another insight that was very impactful to me last year, before I get to answer your question, is last year I was in San Francisco because we won the regional World Cup, startup World Cup here in Central America. So we went to the big final in San Francisco.
Amazing.
And there we were listening to global leaders like like for example the chief impact officer of Salesforce.
Okay.
And she was saying Salesforce is becoming now AI agent force because we are becoming an AI agent-based company.
Right. They're building sales AI-based sales processes for companies, and it's not teams; it's a system.
Exactly. So it's like we are replacing our like again like our APIs and services, and we are replacing our people by AI agents. Everything are AI agents. So and this is like the top software companies in the world. They are getting into this. New way of using AI for everything.
Yeah.
So getting now to your question about how we are using quantum and blockchain. So I'm gonna explain in procedural terms. So first, in order for you to have an identity wallet and to have these digital credentials that you use to authenticate yourself, you need someone to issue these credentials to you. Okay, a private sector company or a public sector company like a government. So essentially, what you do is we provide technology for these companies. When they issue this credential to you, they sign this credential. So the signature has to be very secure.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the thing is that signatures always have two components. There's a private key that the signer has and keeps private, but then all the signatures have a public key. Because in order for a signature to be verified, someone has to, look at the public key.
Look at it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the nature of signatures that it has to be a public key. This happens, for example, with cryptocurrencies. Remember, with cryptocurrencies, you have a private key in order to prove that you own the cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Yeah.
But then when you transact in a blockchain network, you expose the public key. So the point of this is, cryptography always gets to the point of exposing public keys.
Okay. Yeah.
So the thing is, there's going to be resources with AI, and especially with quantum computers, a totally new generation of computing power that are going to be able to hack these private keys from the public keys.
Yeah.
So that means that if we create this new generation of identity based on credentials, and then the cryptography that is behind of the credentials is hacked because we have quantum computing hacking the keys that sign the credentials, then we don't solve anything.
Yeah.
So that's where we use the first part of our technology, that is quantum cryptography. Quantum cryptography is some cryptographic algorithms that allow to sign these credentials in a way that they resist attacks by quantum computers. So quantum computers cannot discover your private keys, even if you expose your public keys.
Wow. Okay.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is about blockchain. So what we do about blockchain. The thing about these credentials, and we see it, for example, in America many times, that there's fake, education records and fake health certificates and fake, like the concept of documents is many times fake. They manufacture
Forged,
something.
Whatever, yeah.
Exactly. So they manufacture something that was issued to you like yesterday. But they manufacture that it was issued to you 20 years ago. Like you're a lawyer since 20 years ago, but they manufactured this yesterday.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's the other way around. You have documents that you are matte, or that you are, a certified real estate agent or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But someone destroys your those documents, or you lose those documents, and you have no proof of that.
Yeah.
Actually, 14% of the global population don't have any identity document, for example.
You're kidding?
Yes.
Wow, 14% of the global population has no identification documentation.
Not at all. Yeah, that's 1 billion people in an 8 billion people world.
Yeah.
So the thing is that with blockchain, what we do is we allow to record timestamps of credentials and documents. So every time that a document is issued to you, you have a timestamp in the blockchain. So if someone tries to delete that or to tamper that, it is not possible, because you have the security of the blockchain in order to say when was something issued, by whom, and if it was revoked, like when and by whom. Yeah. So, as a summary, on one side, all the cryptography in order to prevent like hackings and stealing of the private keys or the cryptography is with quantum cryptography. And all the time stamping of the data in order to prevent a tamper and prevent manufacturing and forging, that is with blockchain. So with those two technologies in the backbones of our platform, we give you something very easy to use. Yeah. You have a mobile application where you get digital credentials like in the Apple Wallet that you see your cards there.
Yeah.
But now they are identity credentials. So you get that, and then you just go to places, scan QR codes, and when you want to do a payment in an e-commerce platform, or when you want to enroll in a financial institution for the first time, or you want to access a stadium, you just scan a QR, you consent sharing some credential. Behind the scenes, all of these things happen, like are very technical, but in practice, you just got a very easy access and a very secure access to something.
Streamline everything.
Exactly.
So the product that you're currently focused on, because I can see this applying in so many areas for all of us. The product that you're currently rolling this out and focused on is identification.
Yes.
So this includes, does this include passports, driving licensing, and what else? Social security cards. I'm not sure what other countries use. That's what they use in the US. Do you want to just run through the list of the things that this is going to be applying for in the near term?
Yes. Actually, as you just said, like any physical document or credential can be now digitalized and put into your identity wallet. It can go from a diploma to a health certificate. Like remember the
real
COVID
estate license, like you mentioned, visas that you needed to travel.
Exactly.
All of this.
Do you remember the COVID certificates that in the US, I was living in the US when they gave us this physical card, that you could, duplicate at your place. Like, if that was so important, why you make it like a cartoon, a piece of paper?
Yeah, that you can copy and like hand to your friends. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So now everything is becoming a digital credential. It's becoming digital. So, you can do anything. So the thing is, now from a go-to-market perspective, from a business model perspective, like we were evaluating different things, and we actually started with diplomas. We worked with some academic institutions because that was, to us, the easiest place to start understanding the user experience and getting feedback from people.
Okay.
But then the thing is that you know that in order for a mobile app to be successful, it needs to have a lot of utility. Like if we think about the amount of mobile apps that we actually use, we have like Uber, so the app that we use for like remote like food ordering.
Yep.
We probably use like apps like Amazon, or then social networks like YouTube or Instagram.
Yep.
These are the few apps that we usually use
constantly
use. So if you want to create, as it is our case, an identity wallet, and we just put a diploma there for you, like how many times you use a diploma a day or a year? Never. Exactly. So of course,
I think you question why I ever got it, but no.
That would be another conversation,
right?
Because another thing that is changing these days is like actually the skills that you can prove are in many cases much more important than the knowledge that you have certified.
Yes.
That doesn't even mean the knowledge that you have, because some people have a lot of knowledge and expertise that is not certified, and a lot of people have certifications about knowledge that they don't really have.
They don't really have, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, such a great point.
Yeah, but going to the point of the utility of the identity wallet.
Yeah.
So after testing the user experience with the diplomas, we understood that the driver for mass adoption was like government IDs that are of mandatory acceptance by things like e-commerce platforms, financial institutions. So we are starting with that. We have a contract with a country that I cannot release publicly yet, but it will soon be published in the news.
Incredible.
For digitalizing the driver licenses of the country.
Okay.
And there's companies like Amazon that already are willing to accept your digital driver license and authentication mechanism.
Wow.
There's financial institutions, e-commerce platforms that are getting into that.
Yeah.
So with that, you will be able to use something like your driver license to authenticate online. And you don't need to disclose your entire driver license. That's the beautiful thing of it. You can use your driver license as a document, like by pieces, by parts, because as it is a digital thing, that's the good thing about digital things, and about code. That you can.
It's only going to show what is needed for that purpose.
Exactly. For example, in some cases, Matt, you can do zero knowledge proof that you are above 18. Like you scan a QR in an adult page, and the adult page is just asking for any government ID that you can use to prove that you are over 18. Yeah. So you scan the QR, you share one of these government IDs, like a driver license, but you don't even share your name.
Yeah.
They don't know that you are mad. They only verify that you are over 18.
Over 18, that's all exactly. They need to know.
Exactly.
Wow.
So because of that, the government IDs, of course, it's not that easy to get into having the trust of governments or ID providers with governments. Yeah. But as we come from the Inter-American Development Bank, we have worked with governments in Latin America for several years. And we've been able to develop this reputation, and now we have different government organizations that are looking to work with us to generate these digital government IDs and to engage on the verification side these organizations that need to reduce fraud and have better mechanisms to verify people's identity.
Amazing partnership opportunities. And wow, what a task that you've chosen to take on. I want to get into a little bit more personal things in terms of like what was the moment, if there was a moment, or when you were working in the which bank was in the Washington D.C.
The Inter-American
Development Bank. At what point did you decide, hey, there's an opportunity here that doesn't exist? I'm going to go take on this massive task of solving this problem. Is there any clear kind of story that you can share on that?
Yes, absolutely. So I arrived at Washington, D.C. to work for the Inter-American Development Bank in 2017. Okay. And that year, it was the first global Bitcoin I would say awareness. It was the year that Bitcoin went from 1,000 to 19,000. Everyone at a global scale started being aware of Bitcoin. That was one of the areas that I was responsible for there. So I was, in one sense, I was a little lucky that I just came to a big place that has a lot of influence, and I was the person in charge of something that just, I exploded.
Wow.
And the same with quantum, because back then there was also the year that Google announced the first quantum supremacy with their quantum computer. So I just landed in charge of two areas that became to be very popular at global scale. Yeah. So then that motivated me as a curious person as well to just learn as much as I could about, as we discussed before, about finance, get also more specialized into cryptography, and starting learning more about payments and identity, because payments and identity are these two massive worlds of knowledge. Yeah. So when the pandemic came, I was working in a project with the World Health Organization in order to figure out what was the best way to just enable international interoperability for COVID credentials. And I was in this project, and I was like, wow, how something so urgent and so easy as a COVID certificate that is just your name, the type of vaccine you got, if you were vaccinated at all, and who applied that vaccine to you, something as easy as that piece of information. Yeah. How can it be that in some countries that credential is not digital at all? Right. And how can it be that in other countries where they have digital credentials and QRs, they cannot be interoperable? I go with my Panama QR to Europe and I cannot get it verified.
Right.
How can that be? It's just a QR, It cannot be that difficult. So then I get in touch with a lot of people that have been working in this space of digital verifiability, identity, and credentials. And I understood the standards, the technology, the protocols that were behind all this, and also the challenges to drive global interoperability in digital credentials. And I published a little book in 2020 about this vision about the digital wallets, identity credentials, and everything that was coming.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Self-Sovereign Identity, the Future of Digital Wallets and Credentials.
Okay. If you don't mind, we'll put a link to that in when we post this.
Absolutely, yes. Cool. And then there was some, there was especially in Europe, regulators and technical people at a regional level in Europe that were trying to push a new regulation to digitalize government IDs. And with COVID, everything got accelerated. That's something that could have happened in 2030. Suddenly became approved like in 2022, reviewed in 2023, and then last year in 2024, the European Union just made mandatory the transition to identity wallets in the entire Europe by 2026.
Really?
Yes, and the acceptance by the private sector of those identity wallets. So this is going to happen. This is happening already.
This is happening, and very quickly.
Exactly. Wow. So in 2020, when I got acquainted of this movement that was going on, I thought, well, I want to be part of this new revolution. I have some unique tools of expertise like the quantum cryptography, the blockchain, and I can develop something specifically for Latin America, at least initially, where I don't see other people doing this yet. And we can make it interoperable with the European Union government IDs, now also with the driver licenses of the US that in many states are becoming digital. And in 2020 already we had that vision. And in 2022 we started like putting, in our free time with some of my founding team, some code together. And then in 2023 in October, we thought that this was happening. We raised the first round, and we just left whatever else we were doing, and we just
dove in.
Yes, dove in. Yes.
100%. So like not 100%, but like all of your entrepreneurial energy.
Yes.
At that point, went into this.
Yes.
And you and your team have been just going. It's go time ever since.
It's this feeling, Matt, that when you see this, we see like when you see like a change of paradigm happening, and you have some expertise that can make you relevant there.
Yes.
Not just to make money, but also to contribute something to society.
I hear that you have a sense of responsibility to be involved because of the knowledge and the experience you have in all of these things that you're now putting together in one package.
Exactly. Wow. Because actually the alternative of having people that want to do this the right way, like really giving you an identity wallet that you can use to manage your identity yourself, be in control of that. We see other solutions. For example, in China, there's identity applications that are provided by the government where you are 200% surveilled. And I don't want this to happen in the countries where I live. I don't want this to happen in Latin America or in Europe. So I have the right purpose, and I have the expertise with my team in order to develop the right solution that is privacy preserving, user centric, secure, and we felt that responsibility and that opportunity to contribute something good and also to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. What a mission, what a vision. It's very purpose-driven, and I love that you just have this responsibility of where it's coming from is you don't want, every country to go the route of, government complete control of its citizens. You're creating something that the citizens can utilize to protect themselves when needed, many times against government.
Exactly. Yeah. Or neither governments nor private sector, because there's been attempts also by private sector companies to become, the identity providers. Yeah. Maybe you remember Facebook in like during the COVID pandemic as well. They tried to launch like a global currency, like a global cryptocurrency, and they were vetted by regulators, and they want to create like an identity based on Facebook. And we never know what that would have been. But there has been attempts, and there will be attempts by private sector companies that have, hundreds of millions of users to just be the ones that control that. And that's very dangerous. Yeah. So we want to do it in a way that is, managed by people and for people.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know you're super busy, and I don't want to keep you much longer, but what are some books or individuals or thought leaders or anything you've come across that have been made a huge impact in you in your life and how you operate and see the world and what drives you?
So I would say that I try to online find a lot of podcasts and conversations with global leaders and influential people, especially in the tech industry, right?
Okay.
But I also like to learn about history and others, so I
Yeah.
I also get into those.
Who's
But,
which tech entrepreneurs inspire you off the top of your head? I'm sure there's a ton, but
yes, so I would say that the I've tried to, more than the person itself, I try to learn about like the methodologies that some of the biggest creators use. And for example, in the case of Jeff Bezos, the way he is very thoughtful about the process. I don't know if you know that Jeff Bezos in Amazon, they created like a protocol that for executive meetings they needed to have like a memo. They need to present a demo at the beginning of the meeting. Everyone had to read the memo, and instead of like PowerPoints, they all they all became acquainted of the topic and discussing the topic. So I've learned like a methodology. I tried to learn like processes and methodologies that I like from different. So I like that from Jeff Bezos, for example, and I also. I wouldn't like to mention one specifically from the ones that I don't know, these ones, but I've tried to learn like their methodologies, and what can I apply to my company. More things that I could respond to your question are. I also love listening to a podcast by Lex Friedman. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Lex Friedman.
Yes. So this is a guy that has been interviewing people like very smart and aware people for several years, and now he's became so popular that he's interviewing global leaders day in and day out.
Wow!
And I the other day actually I wanted to learn about Neuralink, that is the new revolution for the chip. And I was listening to an 8-hour podcast by him. He interviewed like the top people at Neuralink. He also interviewed Elon Musk and even the first person with the Neuralink implant. And I was listening to all the interviews in a row.
Yeah. This guy who was moving a cursor with his eyes or with his thought.
Yes,
I saw
with the thought.
Very quick video clip of
with
that.
the thought. And then, and then at a personal level, I also believe that there's different ways that you can have elevation experiences, right? It can be through just interacting with people that are very elevated. It can be about being in places that have special energy. It can be about the consumption of psychedelics, or it can be about reading something that blows your mind. So all of those different experiences that give you a higher level of consciousness are experiences that I respect, and that I try to embrace every opportunity that I have to just get more self-aware of everything. So I have one experience in particular that I mentioned to you the other day when we were talking. There is I had the immense privilege of being invited to Necker Island. This is the private island of Richard Branson. So they invited 20 blockchain experts from around the world, and I had the privilege to be one of them. And man, that place, the energy of that island in the British, in the Virgin British Islands. Yes. Yeah. So that island specifically, the place, the nature, the energy, the sun and the water, the people that were there, the intention of the people that were there, the conversations, and to me that was a very transformative, because I also got in touch with like coaches that were brought there that opened new paths for personal growth for me. And that was I think that opened a path for me about I've always been very self-confident, but that gave me another level of self-confidence, and that gave me tools as a person to be able to grow faster and be more aware and increase my level of consciousness faster, that I knew how to do before. So that is the type of things that I try to rely on, and those are my resources.
Yeah, well, that's an amazing answer to that question. I know there are not many people on this globe that have been to Necker Island with a group that Richard Branson put together. So congratulations on that. And that reminds me, we're going to be recording another podcast together in a couple of weeks for the specific purpose of talking about quantum physics as it relates to or doesn't relate to the science of consciousness and spirituality, if you want to call it that, but I call it consciousness. And I'm very excited to have that conversation with you.
Yes, me too.
When you're down in Playa Vinal, Panama, where I reside currently. Last question, and this is my favorite question I ask of everyone on this show. I get the most interesting answers, is what is your superpower?
So from a expertise perspective, I think the quantum is always very, very unique, like knowing about that.
Mm-hmm.
And not only professionally, but also personally, the things that I've learned about quantum that give me tools to understand life in a different way. I think it's something that is very useful for me as a superpower. But I also think that maybe I try to see everyone as like people in general, like humanity as part of the same thing. As I try to understand everyone's context, everyone's circumstances. And because of that, I can be empathetic, and I can first work very well with the people that are compatible with me, and then I can also not be very offended or very pissed by the people that are not, because I have this sense of empathy.
Maybe. Like you can put yourself in others' shoes and interact with them. That reminds me of a story I've sat with ayahuasca several times. It's been a huge blessing for me in my life. The first time I ever drank, one of the things that came through to me is that if I spend the time to know someone, I want to know their soul, like deep connection. And not that I have to have deep connections with everyone I know, but if I know someone, if I want to spend energy with somebody, I want to know the authentic soul of them. That is what I just heard in you have a natural ability to experience that in people and really get into their world and see people at that depth.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you put it in a much more interesting way, but I think it's a little about that. Yes. I try to see that, and I try to act from a positive way. As a consequence of that.
That's amazing. I've experienced nothing but that from you since we've known each other. Which has not been a long time yet, but I know we'll be in each other's lives for quite a while. So, before we wrap, how can people find out more about your company, about you? If you want to mention the website, what your LinkedIn is, or any socials you like followers to.
Yes. So my LinkedIn is Marcos Allende López.
Okay. And we'll put a link in there as well.
Yes. The website of my company of Blerify is blerify.com. Very easy.
BLERIFY.com.
Exactly. Okay. It's the combination of blockchain and verify. So BL and then Erify,
Okay.
And then from there, I think they can find all resources. There's my Twitter. There's additional resources that they can look at from the company. And actually, as an invitation to your audience, if they have ideas around these that they would like to explore, feel free to just reach out. We will try to find the time to do things that are exciting. If they have businesses that can benefit from the use of digital credentials, or they have companies that are suffering fraud and they want to reduce fraud by new ways of authentication, we would love to explore with them how to work together.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at the exact numbers, but I imagine 70 to 80% of the listeners of this podcast are entrepreneurs all across the U.S. and some outside of the U.S. And I know many are going to be very inspired by what you're doing and the future of where this industry is going. So really appreciate you taking the time to share your story. And again, we'll get this next episode recorded here in a couple of weeks.
Yes, thanks, Matt. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that your audience can find this interesting.
Great.